so freaking jealous of you right now.
Why?
Well, okay. I've always known you as the BMW guy / Ford guy, right? After winning the championship, you go and you build a Porsche, and now you build this. Very, very different from your normal routes of car builds, right? I'm like totally surprised. It was something that I wasn't even expecting at all.
Yeah, this is still my route of car build though. Very simple, has what it needs, just enough power to have fun with it, so it's really reliable, and you know, good upgrades, well thought out upgrades.
Also, Larry's not here. He's in the restroom right now, going number 2, so I'm taking over.
Perfect.
So, what made you want to settle on like an Evo to begin with?
I don't know if it's settling. This is the Evo V RS, so it's got some heritage to it. And what's really cool is we kind of saved this from going to the scrapyard, and that's what kind of sparked this build for me, is they were gonna just strip it down and sell for parts.
Oh, so you kind of like revived it in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It had some rusty frame rails and some other things, and it needed a lot of little mechanical work, but for me, it was like, let's restore it back to something that could be enjoyed on the street and have fun. So I've always wanted an Evo 5. And then we got this RS option to be able to have for something that was pretty affordable. And we were really excited to kind of put it together and do everything, build everything out for AutoZone and Pennzoil.
Yeah, so the whole point of the build too also was to give it away, right?
Yeah, so basically in July, you'll be able to go into AutoZone, buy 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum or Ultra Platinum, and be entered to be able to win the car just by using your rewards. Automatically enters you, and I don't really want to get rid of it. I don't want to give it away.
You know what you can do too, though. You could also buy another one.
Yeah, I could. I
think they're kind of dropping a little bit in price.
The RSs are so hard to find.
Just get yourself a GSR with like the automatic windows, right?
So that's the thing. And I think they only made like 700 of these total.
Oh.
So it's really tough to find one. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to kind of, wouldn't say fully restore it, but I wanted to clean it up and get it back on the road and have it be enjoyable. Because like, it would have been cool for someone to have it to swap into something else, but to be able to have everything all together and all original is really kind of important to me.
Why was it destined for the dump? How bad was the damage? Was there no motor? Like, what was the issue?
So the car ran.
Okay.
And that was the thing. Like, the drivetrain was in pretty good shape. It's just the rear frame rails in these all rust out and they rot out really bad. And this one was really bad. And then it had appeared that it had no clear coat left on it. It appeared that it had a lot of like little body things. But as we started diving into it and fixing it, and I got a friend of mine to come detail it and fix all of that, like, it really came back and shined and was nice. There's some imperfections here and there, you know?
It's like very negligible considering that the car is coming up on 30 years old, right?
Right, but because people, especially in Japan, are like, well, nobody will buy this, ship it over, it has a rust, nobody wants to fix it, whatever. The drivetrain's worth a lot of money, the parts are worth a lot of money, so let's just part it out and sell it. But I was like, dude, let's not do that to RS, let's save it. So that was kind of the premise of it, is to put another car back on the road and have us be able to enjoy it, you know?
So was this a car that you found in Japan or was it already stateside?
It was in Japan, and a buddy of mine, together we kind of found it and made it work, and I ended up with it that way.
So is this the original motor that came with the car as well? Or?
Yeah, so this is like the VIN number matching motor, which doesn't really matter for Japanese stuff, but it is the original motor. And basically what we did was, it's got a set of comp cams in it. It's got an Evo 9 ported manifold and turbo with an inlet, and it's ported compressor housing, so it sounds sick. Tons of surge and tons of turbo noise. Sounds like a diesel truck driving down the road, so it's perfect. You gotta have all the right noises. And then we got radium fuel rail, 1000cc injectors, Link standalone with their CAN Lambda and their ethanol content sensor, and it's tuned on both fuels, so you can literally just fill it up with whatever. And with this configuration that we tried to keep as original as possible, but update it for like Florida, because in Florida there's no good roads, so you gotta have some power to have fun. So we turned it up to 400, but it's basically completely stock outside of the turbo and ECU stuff. It does 400 wheel on ethanol and about 360 on pump gas.
That's freaking scary.
And it's light. This car is probably right at about the 2,700 pound range, super short gear ratio. So imagine driving a little bit heavier all-wheel drive Miata that makes 400 horsepower. Like, it cooks.
It's scary that you can very easily get a car like this, albeit like it's coming up on 30 years old. It's crazy that you can essentially like sneeze on it, quote unquote sneeze on it, and like make a solid 360, 400.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind blowing actually, but I guess the motors themselves are actually pretty stout.
Yeah, I mean, for being a 2-liter, like being able to make that much power is always crazy to me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm struggling to make 300 in my Subaru, so.
Well, yeah, Subaru thing's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Subaru's a little dangerous. These motors are really good. This is still on a variation that has a little bit of crank-related problems, but this motor's really good, no issues, and it made, like I said, really good power. We're safe on everything because I wanted to be fast, enjoyable, but live forever. So it's got a lot of safeties involved.
What trans are you running?
Got the RS gearbox, so super short, like so 80 on the highway is like 4,400, 4,500 RPM.
Just blast your music at full volume.
Yeah.
Try to hope for the best.
And then we built a 3.5-inch titanium exhaust out of Taycan. They're titanium, so it's super lightweight, kind of sticking with that. Big muffler on the back, so it's not super loud. Lots of turbo noise. Like that was the key for this.
Let's talk about your whole wheel tire suspension.
Yeah, so it's on Nitto G2 255 40 17s on some work emotions I had laying around, CR Kais that I had laying around. Yeah, I need to refinish them, but we got them on the car and fitted. They fit perfect. It's got BC coilovers with some custom spring rates and valving for this car. I kind of took a shot in the dark with that. We're pretty close. It's a little soft on the spring, so we're gonna go up and spring a little bit and probably bring it down another 1/4 inch or so. Willwood 6-piston brakes in the front with 2-piece rotors and 4 pistons in the back with 2-piece rotors. They're really good. Like the brakes on this car were awful. They were so bad out of the box. So basically, like, I drove the car after the dyno. It had no brakes. We did what we could, and we couldn't get it to work right. So I'm like, you know what? I hit up. They actually sell Willwood through AutoZone now. So they literally overnighted me all the Willwood stuff. We put it on on Thursday, and today's Friday.
That is neat to me. I had no idea you could just go into AutoZone and buy that.
Yeah, so all of this stuff outside of the Link and the Turbo is pretty much AutoZone stuff. Like you can go and order that stuff online, and it'll be there the next day. Sometimes it's in stock, they can deliver it the same day. Like I had a coil pack go bad on the dyno, and the coil pack's the same as Evo 8, 9. So I just literally had AutoZone come bring it to the dyno.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how interchangeable the, I guess, 4 to 9, right? 4 to 9 are essentially mostly similar. Yeah,
4 to 6 have a couple things, and then like 6 or 5 to 9 has a lot of things that are the same.
Yeah, I hear it's like a pretty common thing to do with 5s nowadays, just like swapping all the 8 and 9 parts into it just to make it, I guess, quote unquote modern and kind of more fun, I guess, in a way.
It's the same. Yeah. Like I had needed a couple control arms to the back and some bushings and all that stuff, and like it was like if it ain't broke. Yeah, just order Evo 8 stuff. Yeah. So it's got all polyurethane bushings pretty much everywhere that it should have them. And all the control arms have been redone, blasted, cleaned, put on. The whole frame rail from the trailing arm pocket to the back bumper, all brand new from Mitsubishi. It's
pretty intense, the amount of work that went into the car that you put into it to make it look like a normal car.
Yeah. Well, just kind of getting it back to something that is good to be on the road. And I don't want to give away a car to somebody that's going to give them problems down the line. You know, obviously, it's an old car. It's going to have some issues. But like fixing all of the rust and all the little issues that plague these cars and get themselves destroyed basically has been fixed, and it should be good for at least another 20 years or so.
I didn't notice it earlier, but you said these were like spare CR Kais you had laying around?
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing that even without spacers, they're like perfectly flush. I didn't even notice that until just now.
Yeah, the Evo's tricky though, because they have this huge fender flare, like it's this thick on the inside. So like I can't have it all the way. Right now, if you compress it, it misses the fender by just a millimeter. So yeah, I just randomly had their 17.9 ET28s. So kind of a rare size too. But I was like, dude, these are gonna be perfect on there. And like I said, they're not perfect, but again, that's kind of like what this car is. Like it's not meant to be a show car and be perfect. It's meant to be, oh, look at that nice Evo. You get up close, you realize it's been driven and it's enjoyed, you know? That's kind of what it is.
Also, I had never seen like a 5 RS before. Are these wings like an RS, like specific?
Yeah, and it's aluminum, and it's got adjustments here so you can put more rake in it.
I had no idea that was a thing. I really want one.
I don't know a lot about the RS. I've been learning, so there's going to be some people that know more, but basically it's roll-up windows. The only option that it has is AC. There's no sound deadening anywhere. It's pretty much as light as it.
Do you have a radio, or?
It does have a radio. I don't think they came with them, but like you got to have tunes.
My understanding with the RS is that I think even up to the 9, it had roll-up windows as well.
Yeah. Yeah, MR and all that stuff.
What about the interior? Have you done much to it?
Nope. It's pretty much stock. It's really crazy is it still has the plastic on the steering wheel.
I want to so bad.
Don't do it. And then Aero K shift knob. I rebuilt some of the bushings and shift linkages there. But yeah, pretty much stock. It's got a cool horn.
Oh my God. That was like right in my ear hole.
It's a Japanese car, so you gotta have a cool horn on it.
Kind of crazy. Like
Don't do it. That's for the owner, new owner when they win.
that adds so much to the car's value too.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that someone just stuck this on there, but it looks like it's been hanging on for a really long time. Yeah, so the Aero K shift knob, we got WeatherTech mats in here, kind of just because I live off a dirt road, so and it's a rally car, so you gotta have.
It's so bare bones.
So bare bones.
I guess when you kind of want a driver's car, this is essentially the exact thing that you want.
Yep.
No sunroof either. Like, this is nice.
Slick top, super light. Really enjoying it. It's been a blast to drive it around. It's like my wife and I just cruise it around everywhere, ripping and having fun.
Because it feels like every time you drive it, you want to keep it.
Yeah.
How does it feel wanting to not give the car away?
Yeah, it's funny because like as I'm building it, there's like things that I'm like, oh, I'll just do this and then I'll worry about it later. I'm like, I can't. I gotta do it right now and spend the time and order the right parts and do all that, which is cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is. It's like every time I drive it, I'm like, I don't really want to give this away. But I know because I feel that way, the next person's gonna really enjoy it.
So did you just randomly encounter the car, or was it like an auction car that was, or not an auction car, but like you just saw it at the scrapyard? Like what was the?
Yeah, so we knew we wanted to do something with AutoZone and Pennzoil, and my thought process was, let's get something that everyone thinks there's no parts for at AutoZone, but prove that there is, right? So there's so many parts on this thing that we got from them. And like, it was never sold here. It was never anything, right? It's just one of those cars that there was enough other options and things in the States that were sold that have a lot of the same parts that AutoZone carries. And I'm like, this is a great car to showcase that, especially their performance stuff, like having all of that. And this is a very heavily modified type of car. Like people modify these when they buy them. So it's easy to get aftermarket parts, especially like what's nice through AutoZone, like I said, overnight.
Especially with these becoming significantly more common nowadays.
Especially in the States.
Yeah. We have like this fix for them, I guess.
Yeah, and they had this engine and all that and a lot of different things, so it's kind of cool that way. But yeah, so basically this popped up and I was like, we gotta make this happen. Like this is the car, this is perfect. It saves it, and like that's one thing I like doing is like saving cars that were destined to be destroyed kind of thing. And this car, you were gonna destroy this. It's like almost perfect. Like, it's like, why are we gonna do that? So yeah, kind of working with them and finding a car that made sense. This really was like all of it, you know, let's grab this. Fingers crossed it's not worse than we think it is, and it got here, and it actually, like I said, polished up really nice, and it's really ended up to be a really nice car.
But I do have a couple more questions, actually. Yeah. Totally unrelated to this car.
Okay.
But how did you end up with Cayman drift car?
So about 10 years ago, I messed around with some mid-engine cars, a little bit of like sliding around, having fun, and then like 7 or so years ago, I bought an MR2. And I built that out to be like a fun party drift car. And it worked really, really good. And the Cayman and the MR2 have very, very similar suspension, oddly enough. Like it's almost identical style of rear suspension and steering and everything. So we got a Cayman like 5 years ago with a customer of mine. We built it out as like a little fun like car to drive at park. It worked really well. So naturally, when I was like gonna build a new car, I was like, man, I really like Porsche stuff. I want to build a Porsche. So we found a car for a really reasonable price, and I was like, it's current model. It's really cool. It should be able to capture like that essence of like touring car, road race, cup car style feel, bringing those people into drifting. I feel like drifting is growing at such an alarming rate that getting some of these people that are super into Porsches and giving them a car to kind of latch onto to build them into drifters as well, kind of helps the sport and everything as well.
Everyone's so fixated on building like a front engine rear drive car.
Yeah.
And especially with FD rules catering to that as well. It's cool to see someone building something so different. I think I've only ever seen one MR2 drift car. Oh, actually, no, I think it was an MRS.
MRS, yeah. Guy in California had one.
Yeah, but they're so rare. So to see like essentially the second one ever is kind of, I don't know, it's just cool for like you were saying, it's just cool for the scene and everything.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's been awesome to drive. It's a fantastic car. Like the balance of it is really good. It is light on the front, but we've made some changes to help that. And we've kind of been developing this over the years and building something out so that like at least when we got it going and came out with the car, we could keep it simple in the areas that are very relatable, but have all the right parts to make it drive really well.
All right, cool. So that is that. If you guys want to learn more about the Evo and how to win it, check the description and you might win. Good luck.